Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I woke up this morning and something just said, Sharon, pull yourself out of this funk you've been in. You got to do something. You can't just wallow in the misery of the tinnitus ringing in your ear. I've also unfortunately I've been dealing with my little pup over here, Bailey. He's 14 and I think he's in his late stages of life, and he's having a lot of ear infections and whatnot, and bless his heart, I got him doped up on diphenhydramine over there, so he's in the corner quietly sleeping. But I've been dealing with the stress of potentially losing my best buddy of 14 years, and so things have been pretty rough the last month and a half. But I'm determined to get back up and start doing some videos, painting. I love artistry, so I do a lot of that in my spare time. But just the last several months have just been rotten. So I've got to pull myself out of it, and so I thought today I would do a video about Bernie Sanders. There are a lot of myths out there about the man, most of which are perpetuated by people who have been told to reject him by others who fear him. And so I want to dispel a lot of the myths that are out there, kind of give you the backstory behind them, and give you the truth of the story. Anybody out there who has spent time on social media comment sections knows they've probably come across several people saying, talking about Bernie having 3 homes, and that he must have gotten that home from, all the money that he got during his campaign. Some people were saying he spent campaign donations on it. Others were saying that Hillary Clinton paid him off, and so he went out and got him a nice fancy mansion on the lake. Nothing could be further from the truth. Actually, his wife Jane Sanders got a family inheritance. It was a house, I think, up in Michigan or Minnesota, somewhere up north, but they sold that house and they bought the lake home. Now, it is true Bernie does have 3 homes. He has his main home in Vermont. He has a small place in Washington, D.C., like most people who serve in Congress have, and he bought him a lake home. Good for him. That does not mean that one can't care about homeless people. Certainly there are people out there who have, multiple homes and a lot of wealth. They can care about people too. So, anybody that makes that assertion or tries to use that as a pejorative, they need to kind of wake up and maybe realize that people can be rich and care about others. One myth that I hate seeing spewed out on social media about Bernie is that he thinks women like to be raped. This stemmed from an essay that he wrote back in the early 70s, depicting how magazines of that time, such as Stag and Hero, were kind of glorifying rape culture in a time where women were starting to gain a lot more independence. Gone were the days of Mad Men in the 60s. And women started gaining more power, and so there were magazines depicted in glorified rape culture. So that was Bernie. He wrote an essay about that, and he actually said that in like the second paragraph of the essay. Sadly, the people who regurgitate the lie that these were Bernie's thoughts have never read the essay. They have no intentions of reading the essay, and so people should read it, because context means everything. Another myth you'll hear about Bernie is that he defrauded a bank and his wife bankrupted a college. There was a bullshit investigation by one of Trump's goons by the name of Brady Tunsing, who basically said that the college that Jane Sanders used to work for went bankrupt because of her, and that Bernie Sanders and her defrauded a bank for some sort of financial gain or something. That's hilarious, because if Bernie wanted to have any type of financial gain, he could have easily sold us out to corporations, just like most of the rest of the government has, and he could have gotten wealthy 30 years ago. Bernie is one of the poorest senators in Congress. Yes, he's made some money recently because he wrote books that millions of people wanted to read. So, kudos to him for making some money. Nothing wrong with that. Again, I go back to, wealthy people can care about fortunate people as well. So, no need in getting upset the fact that he has money now. That investigation, by the way, has been completely thrown out of court. There was no evidence to support it, and it was just another attempt to smear Bernie Sanders. In fact, there's so little to smear Bernie Sanders on that they have to go after his wife, which is hilarious and pathetic at the same time. Pathetic. those who fear Bernie have duped the masses into believing that it's going to be their taxes that are going to pay for all of Bernie's free stuff. All you have to do is type in how Bernie pays in a Google search, and you'll come up with a website that has a very comprehensive listing of all of the proposals Bernie has and how he plans on paying for them. So it is true that he wants to raise taxes on everyone to pay for universal health care. Your taxes would go up about 2.2% annually, and you would not have to pay for monthly premiums, copays, or deductibles anymore. So it would actually save you money, probably in the long run. So Bernie is interested in raising taxes on rich people. And no, he does not want to raise it up to 90%. That's ridiculous. Where that myth came from was he was interviewed by someone who asked him if he thought that 90% tax rate back in the days of Eisenhower were acceptable, and he didn't see anything wrong with it. It was, after all, a time when the middle class was booming and doing very, very well. And mind you, any tax that is proposed, keep that in mind, that it's a marginal tax rate. It's not 90% of your total income. It's 90% over, say, 10 million a year. So marginal tax is very different from just a straight out tax. Finally, the last myth I want to dispel is Bernie is a socialist and he wants to turn America into Venezuela. That is ridiculous. It's nothing more than scare tactics being used by the right-wing and conservative media that are wanting people to reject Bernie because Bernie's going to make them pay more taxes. So it's pretty easy to figure out, and I am amazed how many people don't take the time to understand that or to research more about what they're told. So if you know Bernie's agenda, you know he's a social democrat. He is advocating for a social democracy, which is a healthy balance between capitalism and socialism. He does not want to make us like Venezuela. He wants to make us like Norway. He wants America to have the same things that most developed countries have, such as universal health care, college tuition paid for. So remember, kids, most people who bash Bernie Sanders the most know about him the least. And I would encourage you to watch a few of the videos that I'm going to put down in the link below. Have a good one. I hope you guys are doing well, and I'll be making a new video very soon. Peace out. Love to y'all.